Tonight, I have the pleasure, actually, of introducing the gentleman who is the original real estate BrandFace, and whom I like to refer to as the BrandFace superstar, which I'm sure he likes quite a bit, and that is my partner, Michael. And I think most people on this call have heard Michael was quite a chore to bring on as a client. He and I went back and forth with phone calls because my sweet little Southern Aunt Carolyn suggested that I call him. She said, Michael's waiting on you to call him. He really needs help with marketing and he needs you to call him. And her real estate partner, Benny, who is a close friend of hers, kept telling Michael, Tanya is waiting on you to call her. She's expecting your call. So one day I called him and I said, look, I have no idea who's supposed to be calling whom, but we're connected now, so where do we go from here? And so literally, I want to say it was probably about 3 months later that I was finally able to talk Michael into becoming a BrandFace client. Now, normally I would never have spent that much time trying to convince somebody to be my client, right? But for some reason, I just kept it up with him, and that is absolutely a true story behind how we met. And how horrible he was at first to try and even convince that I had anything worthwhile to deliver to him. So my question to you, Michael, and I'll let you elaborate on this as you see fit. When you first came into the BrandFace program, what was missing from your business and marketing approach? In other words, why did you take my call and why did you hire me?
Yeah. Well, I took your call because I was tricked by that little saint of an aunt.
Okay, fair enough.
No, we love Carolyn. Absolutely. She's an amazing person. And so that's obviously the reason why. And the longer version of the answer is I gave you such a hard time because I had an idea of where I needed to go and couldn't get there with any other help. And so what BrandFace brought to me was the inner connectivity of all of the things that I felt like needed to happen. And, of course, didn't know fully yet what those things were. So, like, I knew I needed a consistent brand of some kind. I knew I needed to begin to be known for a certain logo or recognizability. And but what BrandFace brought to me was the inner connectivity of how all of those different pieces put together, and then, of course, with the extra that you taught me and that I didn't even know about.
You know, when we were talking about tonight, you had mentioned to me, you said, oh, my gosh, we had everything just scattered everywhere. Talk just a little bit about that because actually it was kind of humorous at times.
We didn't have. We had stuff thrown out all over the place, logos. I had trucks on the road, and they would have their own phone number on them. That's the truth. So I knew that there were things like that came together that we needed. I did not know that BrandFace would be the connectivity behind that at the time until I berated you and really, made you just really bring your A game. And I like to admit to the public that I was already going to do business with you like at least 2 weeks, maybe a month before I let you know that. I just sort of kept giving you a hard time about it because I just wanted to see what you had in you. Wait just 1 minute. Because I would say I'm not so sure I'd admit that if I was within about 10 feet of you. That's not good. That's really that may be
bad.
True. That may be true.
And that's the first time I've heard that, too. Okay.
But I'll never forget it. I was in San Bernardino, California, when you finally because I kept berating you about I'm like, yeah, but what about this? And yeah, that gallery said that, And then finally what won it was when you said, look, you're just going to have to trust me. I'm like, okay, I think I can. So, and I was glad I did. So.
And the rest is history. So for those of you who haven't heard that story yet, I always get a kick out of that story. And every bit of it's true. So obviously, you guys know, Michael's brand is America's top-selling real estate auctioneer, and I'll tell you why we chose this brand for him. Michael is a broker, and he obviously owns Michael Carr and Associates, Incorporated in North Georgia, and he has 3 divisions to his company, and they are real estate sales, investments, real estate sales, home improvement, and auctioneering. And investments fall under that real estate sales umbrella as well. So we were trying to figure out what is going to set him apart from everyone else that he can say makes him truly different and will give him the credibility to do business in any one of those divisions, because that's what a good brand will do. It sets you up to have the credibility to do business where you want and need to do business. And so the things that were behind this brand were Michael was actively involved in over 68,000 transactions. At the time we started working together, I think it was 55,000, but 68,000 transactions now. Personally conducted over 6,500 real estate auctions, rehabbed or renovated over 600 homes. He's an investor himself and advises others on how to invest. And then finally, over time, we added this 5th bullet point, which was co-author of BrandFace for real estate professionals. And so when you combine just those first 4, which was all we had in the beginning, that is super powerful. The reasons, stating the reasons, the quick little bullet points of what qualifies you to own the brand that you own, and setting up that stage for such credibility. And so we'll take a look now at Michael's BrandFace ID card, which, as most of you know, share 5 different branding elements: a photo from a photo shoot, a background image that he's chosen as one of his branding elements, his tagline, his logo, and his elevator pitch, which says, "I help North Georgia homeowners and investors buy, sell, improve, or invest with the confidence of over 68,000 real estate transactions." And you see what we did with that buy, sell, improve, or invest. We basically tackled, the 4 things that his business and he excelled in, and that's what we turned into that elevator pitch, which is really quite strong. So to finish up Michael's portion of the spotlight tonight, I have 5 more questions for him. So Michael, let's start with this. What is the most valuable thing you've learned from the BrandFace concept thus far, going through it as a legitimate BrandFace in the beginning, not as a partner now?
Consistency. I knew consistency was important because my father had a plaque in his office that said, and I won't belabor the eloquency of the way that it was written, but effectively it said that perseverance was the only thing that mattered to be successful. Talent is not always rewarded. An educated derelict is almost a proverb. And so effectively it said that you have to have the perseverance to continue on. So I knew that consistency was going to be a thing, but I didn't realize the consistency on the minor things like 2 different phone numbers on 2 different trucks is not leading people into the same direction. But the consistency of all of your branding being equal and the same on all of your platforms, because every one of those platforms reach different people at different times for different reasons, and they all tie back into you. And if I could have a sub to the most valuable, it would be how they cross-pollinize and how you use those against each other and with each other to even broaden that expanse of the same consistency in your brand.
Okay, you just mentioned something I just want to talk about for one moment. You said there are different messages that go out to different people, different customer types. And then you mentioned consistency. And those 2 things can actually coexist because it's a difference between being strategic and tactical. Your strategy is, why should you do business with me? Okay? Your tactic is, why should you do business now? Why should you do business with me today or in this space? So the strategic things about your brand, your mountaintops, the anything real estate, which is your company tagline, the America's top selling real estate auctioneer, your your elevator pitch, all those things about your brand have to be consistent no matter what audience you're in front of. The more minute messaging, such as exactly what you want them to do and what you want that audience to know, can be different, the messaging in addition to the brand. But the brand elements stay consistent no matter what audience you're in front of. So thank you for bringing that to play. On to the second question. How has being a brand face helped your business, which is the ultimate question?
That is back to how we learn to tie things together. You know, this past week I had an intern come to work in the office, and I was on the road, and I wanted my Twitter picture changed, and I'm sorry, my Instagram picture changed, and I called the office and said, "Hey, Sydney, get Sydney on the phone." So Sydney came to the phone, and I said, "Hey, listen, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to this website. I want you to pull it up." She's been with me for, I don't know, 4 days at this point. And I want you to pull up this website, go to my press kit, go to the press kit, go to the bottom page of the press kit, and I want you to download the third picture from the left onto the desktop, and it loaded up into Twitter. It took her less time to do it than it did for me to explain to her what I needed done. Now, part of that is because she's a young lady that has grown up with social media, so she understands it completely. Like, it was not an issue with her as far as all of that kind of stuff goes. But what I was starkly reminded about is how BrandFace has brought all of that together. Like, I know where to go, even on the phone with a newbie, and tell them what to do to be able to catapult us to another group of people at another specific time. And able to walk them through that. So I would say definitely tying things together along with that consistent platforms and consistency about posting on those things has by far been one of the greatest things that helped our business.
Okay, talk about your business growth since becoming a brand face.
Well, we could brag that our GCI has doubled every year over year, just by applying what we've learned and doing it. And anybody who's been with us in BrandFace for a while now have realized that there are certain things that I haven't been able to get to because we all are busy, and every business person on this call that would listen to it, we all have very busy lives and other things that need and require and deserve our attention. And to be able to do that, though, systematically and to be focused about it, by far is the driving factor of why we have been able to year over year do those numbers, and we don't see any reason why that's going to change. And in fact, if we had anything that held us back right now as a company, it is solely the inventory situation. We don't have, as far as our growth with clients and our exposure to the public, it is even more exponential than just double every year because our customer base has grown exponentially. What I'm talking about, from reaching people at the tune of a couple of thousand at a time to reaching 10,000 at a time, and that sort of thing is the driving factor of how our business has grown, based solely on these principles.
Okay.
And hard
Tell
work.
me about some recent. Absolutely, you can't leave that out. Tell me about some recent accomplishments.
You know, we just got Top Agent Magazine, front page of the Nationwide and International, which was fantastic, and we got a great press release out of that and pushed it. But for me, at the end of the day, whatever the acclimates are, whatever the trophies, whatever the awards, whatever the fastest growing, the best in the county. Last year we were voted, and this year I assume we will the same, number one in Jackson County. We've reached these pinnacles, but to me, the number one thing is the growth of that client base, the growth of people doubling every year that entrust sometimes their largest and biggest purchase of their life to us, and I like doing that. I like being a part of that and seeing that happen and seeing people achieve the goals that they're looking for. And that's not just with the clients that we help to sell a property or buy property or move up or play Monopoly, big kid Monopoly, or whatever their goal might be. It's also about the agents that I get to touch and be a part of and help grow and be a part of a deal and say, look, now let me step you aside for a second right here. I've been here before. I've seen this landscape. If you'll do this, it'll work out better for you. And being able to help be a growth for that also to me is the greatest accomplishment. So my ultimate goal obviously is to be a company that everybody wants to do business with and everybody wants to do business for. And that's, to me, is one of the biggest accomplishments. And that goes back to one of the first questions that you asked me. You said, it's not just a one-sided interview process. I need to know that if I invest in, Tanya said this to me, I need to know if I invest in you, that you're going to be authentic about how you're going to live this brand. And I can't stress how important that is. So to me, happy customers, happy agents, a good atmosphere, a win-win-win situation has been their greatest accomplishment.
Awesome. Okay. 2 more questions. What would be your advice to other agents who are going through this program right now?
It's definitely work the steps. That was a very easy question for me because I know what it's like, guys. When you hit a module and you think, oh my heavens, and you're reading through this and you're like, I don't have time for this. I need to be out here prospecting. I need to be out here selling property. I need to be out here rewriting a listing. Whatever it might be, I'm telling you, push through that because I did the same thing. I told Tanya, I said, Tanya, are you kidding me? I've got no way that I'm going to find time to be able to do this. And what Tanya taught me was, she said, yeah, you are. You're going to be fine. You're going to push through it. I'm going to push you through it. Everything's going to be fine. And what happened was not only have we been able to do many of those things and eventually all of those things that BrandFace talks about, I was able actually to be invited to write in on a book about it. And that showed me that there was even more to be able that you can get to if you just focus on it. So my suggestion is push through the modules, the ugly ones that you don't really want to do. Don't skip over them and go to the next ones that are easier. Work them and get them all done and put them to work.
Beautiful. Okay. One last question. Tell us one personal thing about you that most people would be surprised to know.
One?
One or two? You can tell
I'm going to do
more
two. I'm going to do two. Sometimes I'll wear 2 pairs of socks. If I pull up a pair of socks
and why would
too thin, I get another thin pair to make a thick pair. That's something very few people on earth would know, and I just shared it to the public. So
it'll be all over social media.
There you go. So the thing for me, I guess, that I would want to say from a personal story standpoint is I've always loved trading, and that has always been a part of my culture, part of my life, part of something I just like doing because I like the interactiveness of working with people and everybody walking away from a deal that's happy. And so at about 13 years old, I took I worked for my uncle, helping him move from one house to another. And I remember I didn't have any expectations, but I came back. He said, hey, will you make sure the door's closed? I went back there to make sure the door on the truck was closed. And I came back, and there's a $20 bill laying in the seat. And I said, hey, what's this? And he goes, thanks for helping me today. And I'm like, yeah, but you ain't got to do this. And he goes, no. I knew exactly what I'd do with it. I went down the shop. He had a shop in Helen. He had 2 shops in Helen, Georgia, which is a little resort area, a little Swiss Alps type of thing they do in Helen, Georgia. It's pretty cool if you ever get a chance to go there. And so I went down the shop and I bought a switchblade knife. And I knew exactly what I wanted to buy. And I had, I don't know, 50 cents left over, 48 cents left over, whatever it might have been. And so I carried the switchblade around for a couple of weeks, and a buddy of mine saw it. And he's like, hey, man, what you got right there? And I said, here's my switchblade. He goes, I got to have it. And I'm like, okay, how much money you got? And he's like, I ain't got no money. I said, well, you got to have some trade with, dude. I'm not giving up my switchblade. And he goes, I got a pool table in the barn. And I went, what? And he goes, yeah, I got a pool table in the barn. And I said, well, let's go look at it. So we walked all the way to his house, and we went, and his dad had this pool table in the barn. And it didn't have, the felt was rotted off of it. It had no balls. It had no sticks. It, you know, it was just pool table and legs. I said, okay, how we trade? And he said, I say even. I said, we're done. And so I borrowed a friend of mine who had a truck. I could not drive at the time, obviously. I begged him. I said, just go over here and help me load this thing up. We took it over to my mom's house and put it in the basement. And so I saved up my money, got $100, and I bought some felt, and I refelted it myself. I bought some balls. I had $150 in it with a couple of sticks. We played it for, I don't know, a year. Everybody having a big time, all the kids over at the house. And a buddy of mine come to me and said, I got to have that pool table. And I said, okay, what you got to trade? And he goes, I got this four-wheeler over here, and this four-wheeler doesn't run. And I said, all right, let me look at it. And so I go over and I look at the four-wheeler, and it's awesome. And I like a big old woolly booger tires on the back. I mean, but it doesn't have a gas tank, and it doesn't run. And I'm thinking, oh, I can fix this, you know. And so I said, how you want to trade? And he goes, I say even. I said, okay, let's do it. So we traded even, but you got to come get the table. He said, okay. He come and got the table, and I got the four-wheeler. So I started digging around the four-wheeler, and it needed a coil on the thing. It cost $159. So I said I had $159 in it. I put the coil on the thing, and I took a ketchup bottle like at the restaurant, the little red ones that you squeeze. And I cut the tip of it off, and I put it into the fuel line, and I duct taped it to the front handlebars of this thing and filled it up full of gas so it would run. I put this $159 part on it, and I rode it for thousands of miles. Thousands of miles I rode this thing. And then one day, it's sitting out in front of my dad's car lot, and this lady comes in, and her husband's passed away, and she's got a bunch of money, and she's buying a truck for my daddy, and she's walking out the door, and she says, by the way, how much is the four-wheeler? And I said, the four-wheeler is $1,800. And she said, I'll take it right now. And she quoted up for $1,800. And that's how I turned a $20 work job into $1,800 when I was about 14 and a half. And ever since then, I said, I just want to be, I want to wheel and deal. I want to trade.
You are a born salesman. What a great story. I've never heard that one before. I love it. I love it. Love it. Thank you so much for sharing those. You double sock fiend, you. Oh, that's too funny. All right. Thank you, Michael. Obviously, you know, Michael started this journey and had no idea what he was in for. And, you know, fast forward 3 to 4 years ahead, and now he's a co-author of 2 of the BrandFace books in the series, and a partner of mine. And I could not be more proud to have you as partner. So thank you so much.
Well,
and
I would like to say thank you. But I'm sorry for the delay there, but I would also like to say thank you, and thank you for pursuing and staying on top of it, because you're the quintessential brand face, and we're chasing you. So.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's really sweet. I appreciate that.